Major time skip. Here, we now see a 17-year-old monkey D. Luffy, who had finally reached the age to set sail. The reason he came to this island in the New World when he 15 years old was to train for the circumstances that would later come into the light later down the road in his journey. So overall, his appearance changed a lot from the time that he was just a small little kid. Luffy's hair was now and still overall wild, spiky, and wavy with a bit of blue specks being seen at the roots of his overall black hair. But now white had taken up quite a good majority of it at the middle of the strands and was continuing to take up more. And at the ends of his hair, they still had the blood red color, as Luffy had his hair tied into a spiky ponytail at the back with it hanging at almost waist length along with shoulder length bangs framing the side with the majorette. His right eye, Luffy's face was that of his age but a bit more mature, as he had a few more scars with his birthmark that didn't affect his attractive appearance, as Luffy still had his left side forehead flame-like pattern scar from birth. He had now possessed another frostbite-like pattern on his right side lower left cheek that extended down to the right side of his neck. Under his left eye, he still had the small scar with the stitches from which he got by stabbing himself, with an additional small scar on his right eyebrow that he got from an overly large jaguar slashing its claws at him. On the left side of his bottom jaw and extending down to the left side of his neck, he has a large scar that's not too deep, that was given to him in a fight with a Yonko that nearly ended his life, as he also has scars all over his body from a fight with someone on a Yonko crew. For his body, he had entirely turned it from mere body fat to completely pure athletic muscle, as he now stood at a good 9 foot in height with a six-pack with very defined, as he has a tattoo over three-headed skeleton with ice flowing out of his mouth with his blade Sindragosa in the middle. And also to give you example, he has the same body build as a Goku, a lot more tone, as his favorite weapon his claymore frost mooring. And he also has a tattoo kanji death in DK, and it stands for on his right arm, natural enemy of God, considering the celestial dragons fear the D and consider themselves gods. The fifth tattoo is on his back, which is Thejali Rogeroff their hair Pyraticious, a realistic looking skull with a pair of cross sabers behind it. It has two red stripes with black outlines that cross diagonally across the skull's left eye socket, representing scars that the captain has, as Luffy had gotten this particular tattoo on his back a year after he arrived on the island, with the crew sometimes visiting in order for Luffy to get a bit more training in some other areas he needed it in. And around the legs are the 6th and 7th tattoos that wrap around the leg in black flame patterns, but on his right hip that goes perfectly with this is the 8th tattoo of a rose on his upper right leg. Essentially, Luffy is a very edgy young man. Along with this, as time had passed on, as Luffy's abilities had grown tremendously, with him being able to use elemental haki at a very proficient level, being able to use all natural elements with his main affinity being the element of ice, alongside his haki being powerful enough to stand against warlords, but he is not strong enough to fight Yonko or first commanders just yet. So with this being said, currently Luffy was all packed up now in order to leave and head back for East Blue with one goal: to gather a crew for his great adventure on the high seas. Alright, let's go, says Luffy. Before taking, he pulls out Frostmourne and summons Sindragosa and begins to look into the sky in the direction of East Blue at a very fast speed, though not without passing over the skies of Mary Joy within a few hours' time. Now looking down at the city with the glare because of the incident that took place there when he was just 13 years of age. Deciding to shrug this off now in order to not sour his shrug it off, and continues flying fast. As Luffy arrived in his hometown again after so many years of being away, he walked, taking it all in, making his way for the party bar. I wonder how Makino will react when her little brother is all grown up. Probably won't believe it, thought Luffy with a chuckle, as he continued walking through the small village, getting a few curious looks as he calmly walked into the party bar, seeing Makino cleaning what looked like to be her last mug, as the bar was currently vacant with no one else was around at the moment. Though upon entering the bar, Makino looked up at the person who had entered and decided to grade them. "How can I help you, mister?" asks Makino with a smile, being polite. "Is that really how you're supposed to talk to your little brother?" asks Luffy with a small smile, causing Makino to look at Luffy for a few seconds before she had dropped the cup she cleaning in shock as it shattered upon hitting the ground. Luffy, Luffy, says Makino, yelling with joy in her voice, as she came running over to hug him. As the commotion brought people over and Makino told them who it was, along with them all being very surprised that it was Luffy who had grown so much. So after about an hour of spending time with Makino, Luffy went up the mountain to see Dayton along with her crew in order to tell her he would be leaving in a few. While on the hand, it did cause said bandit to act as if she did not care, though deep down, Luffy knew she did, so he didn't. After packing everything into a boat to set sail, the village gathered to see him off while Dayton and her crew were on one of the roofs watching. So Luffy got in after saying his goodbye, and as he was out in the water, he turned around. "Bye everyone. We'll meet again when I'm the king," says Luffy, yelling to them. With that being said and done, Luffy used fire as rocket to make his boat go quicker, but slowed down when the Lord of the Coast rose from the water. When it fully emerged from the water, it looked at Luffy, who was looking back calmly. The coast rose from the water. When it fully emerged from the water, it looked at Luffy, who was looking back calmly. It then lunged towards Luffy in an attempt to eat him whole, but it never came as he used. Sub-Zero Slammer completely annihilates to see King Flash, freezing it to death as Luffy uses his blue fire to make himself warm again. As the surrounding area turns back to normal, all the ice is melted cause he realized that he almost froze the whole ocean. That wouldn't be good for the villagers as he weighs everybody else as they eyeballs is out their socket. This world will soon know that we're alive and kicking. We won't be silent any longer, says Luffy as he figured out a way to use the mercury ability of his devil fruit to form a solid metal steering handle, but could funnel fire into it to still go fast. P.S. Luffy has access to a lot of different devil fruits. Like I said, his fruit comes from a different time, so he's going to be very powerful. But let's get back into the story. Sorry for breaking the fourth wall. As he was sailing, he notices a ship with a pirate, Jolly Roger, attacking a civilian vessel. Well, let's see if there are any bounties on their heads. Gotta start somewhere, and it's here, thought Luffy as he started slowing his boat down and jumped to the deck. All the pirates and civilians could see crimson flames coming from Luffy's hand, but could also feel the air starting to freeze in their general area. Everything about Luffy to them radiated a young man with experience. His gaze was neutral, but everything about him was saying don't underestimate him. This lasted for a good 30 seconds. Well spoke, who are you? And who the hell gave you permission to step aboard? Asks the woman as Luffy turned his attention to her. I was assessing the situation of how I want to move forward, considering this vessel doesn't speak pirate to me, though I have been able to see better ships. Fortunately, says Luffy with a neutral tone. Luffy was able to full sense everyone there with his haki so that no one could sneak up on him. So he used his haki, and he found that some girl was on this pirate ship, robbing them of everything they had. So in his judgment, it was none of his business, and decided to not bother with it. As he came to this decision, the woman then decided to speak for a question of her own. Are you the pirate hunter, Roronoa Zoro? Asks the woman. As for Luffy, when she said this, he knew exactly of this person that she spoke of, and that's who he was. P.S. He also has 3 katanas, but it's to keep Frostmourne hitting. It also can change to any shape that the wilder imagines. As for Luffy, when she said this, he knew exactly of this person that she spoke of, and that's who he was looking for right now. So ultimately, he decided to respond now to answer the question. No. And you are? Asks Luffy, curious but neutral all the same. I am Alvida, the most beautiful woman of all the seas. Begins the now identified Alvida, but is cut off when Luffy begins laughing hard. Luffy soon regains himself a bit while still laughing, as he spoke again. You gotta be kidding me, right? Asks Luffy, continuing to laugh, but eventually stopped to get serious again as he continued. Sorry, but even for you that's rich. Not to mention I know women who are more beautiful than you. Trust me, I know this because I didn't earn the epithet for being the god of the pleasure district and of pleasure for nothing, says Luffy, informing this woman as he continued further. Anyway, do you have some sort of bounty on your head? Asks Luffy, wanting to know. I have a 5 million berry bounty on my head, says Alvida, answering the question. Luffy knew this would be simple, so he decided to knock out the crew with Conqueror's haki, as it left Alvida still conscious along with a pink-haired boy who piqued his interest. A strong will at your age, you'll definitely go far in this world, says Luffy as he prepared his next attack. Bone, left 3-armed cannon, says Luffy, as his left side made 2 additional arm pop out to make 3, while now coating them in armament haki, which turned them pitch black, surprising his female opponent, as Luffy pushed off his feet in order to attack. As he hit her head on, causing the force of his strike to send her far away out into the ocean somewhere. As the pink-haired boy, who was watching the whole, was left surprised by this. while Luffy himself walked up to him, as he started making the extra arms he had created disappear altogether from sight. "How did you do that?" asks the small boy in awe of Luffy's strength, causing the boy said this. Luffy cracked a small smile as he spoke. "I ate a devil fruit called the Lich Model Conqueror. Basically, essentially, I have the control of undead, and I also have access to other devil fruits. Not to mention that it gave me the potential to one day become one of the strongest men in the world," says Luffy, explaining it to boy whose eyes were now wide at such information, before Luffy spoke once again. "But let's talk about that more when we're in the boat," says Luffy, deciding. Gesture a finger over to the side where his boat was, as he spoke further. "So, what's your name?" asks Luffy, sounding curious to know now. As the small young boy had perked up upon hearing this question, before getting himself under control in order to give a straightforward answer. "My name is Kobe, and you?" asks Kobe, introduction himself before asking another question of his own, leaving Luffy to smile with pride, before introducing himself properly to Kobe. "Nice to meet you, Kobe. My name is Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will become the king of the pirates," says Luffy, now introducing himself with an expression of determination plastered across his face. Luffy and Kobe are currently sailing at a high speed to the next island, which was Shell's town in the Yotsuba Island region. So as they were on their way, Luffy decided to ask Kobe something. "Hey Kobe," says Luffy, getting Kobe's attention. "Alvida said something about Roronoa Zoro earlier, who of which I happen to be looking for, and I was wondering why his epithet is Pirate Hunter," asks Luffy as Kobe explains. "He is a great pirate hunter. From what I know, he uses 3 swords and racks up bounties like a bloodthirsty wild animal. I heard he's said to be a demon in human form," says Kobe, sweating a bit as Luffy listen. "I heard he's at Shell's town and was captured recently there," says Kobe, informing Luffy. This causes him to crack a small smile, for which Kobe saw this and paled a bit. "Please tell you're not thinking of going there. Why not skip this island?" asks Kobe, scared. Luffy just laughed at his scared nature as they reached the island. As Luffy brought the boat to slow down and stop at the shore, they both exited the boat while pushing it and got to land. Making sure the boat was secured on the shore, they started walking off and were eventually walking through the town. "I want to see this Roronoa Zoro. It's been a while, but some time ago when I was working under the world government, I had a few run-ins with him," says Luffy, remembering. He was the youngest to join their ranks because of being a part of the Marines Special Forces called Sword at the age of 9 years old, making him the youngest member ever made in history. Luffy was able to move across all the Blues and Grand Line, while also having to sometimes guard celestial dragons from the shadows, for which he hated. "Wait, you're serious?" "Luffy, that was years ago. Do you really think he'll have any intention of joining your crew?" asks Kobe, shocked, but also remembered the part about him working for the Marines, but didn't get to ask earlier, as he thought it was a touchy subject. Sometime later, as they walked around, Luffy pushed his observation haki's range further to find what he was looking for. When he did, he got a smirk and made his way in that direction as he spoke to Kobe. "Come on, Kobe," says Luffy, being serious now as Kobe followed him. "Where are we going?" asks Kobe, curious. "The Marine base station here. I found what I was looking for, so let's get moving," says Luffy, walking quickly. "Plus you want to be a Marine, right?" asks Luffy. "Of course I did, but I don't feel as though I'm ready yet. From what I heard, the man in charge of this base is Captain Morgan. I've heard things of his reputation," says Kobe, scared, but it was one of pure horror as Luffy picked up on it, having one thought about all of this. "So it's a base like that, huh? And they say East Blue is the weakest of all the blues. More like corrupt in my opinion, but I was never born to be a Marine," thought Luff. It was in this moment that Luffy decided to speak to the young boy about something. "Listen, Kobe. You will come to understand that the Navy and its Marines, and along with the world government, may look good on the outside, but when you start working for them, then you see how disgusting it all is, along with the fact that everything isn't so cut and dry. In a world like this, you must endure and have your own opinion and never follow orders blindly and figure out what's best for everyone. From my experience, pirates aren't all bad, and Marines aren't all that good, but like I said, you must see through people and deception as well to make your own decisions," says Luffy to Kobe, surprising him and making him think about what was just said. "Kobe, always remember that power can corrupt and turn the best of us into what we fear most. You fear this Marine captain because he isn't what you expected and for his reputation. Well, you're about to have your first taste with the real world. Watch closely and decide what you want to do when you join up with the Navy and what you want to stop from happening in the future when you have the power to do it. But guys, I'm going to be internet off right here. I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you enjoyed. Par 4 will be out tomorrow.